This fixes everything for the New York Jets as an ESPN insider points out the guy to fix the entire future of the franchise, and we got to break down his strengths, his weaknesses, and exactly what he brings to the table. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Jets Football 365. If you're a New York Jet fan, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a ton. But getting into the news for today, coming from ESPN insider Todd McShay has mocked Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback out of the University of Indiana, to the New York Jets. But coming also from Sports Illustrated, the Jets have put themselves in a great position to draft a quarterback at some point in the next 2 years. It would seem like 2026 is when the Jets go after a quarterback because of how obvious and immediate their need is. But those 3 first-round picks in 2027 do give them some flexibility if they view someone other than Mendoza or Simpson as the best player available in the upcoming draft. Now, the name that Jet fans are talking about is Indiana's quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, and he's the guy that is getting mocked currently to the New York Jets, and he's easily the number 1 quarterback in all of college football. Let me tell you why. Fernando Mendoza is not afraid to check the ball down when the big play is not there. Last season, Cam Ward blew everyone's socks off, but not my socks, because I watched him and I said, this guy holds the ball too long. He has crazy turnover problems. And what's happening with the Tennessee Titans? He's holding the ball too long and taking a ton of sacks. He is creating a ton of turnovers for himself by dropping the ball, throwing the ball backwards, throwing interceptions. Cam Ward has been a turnover machine so far. But Fernando Mendoza is even better than Cam Ward was last year. The best quarterback this year or last year. Let's talk about his strengths coming from NFL Draft Buzz Online. Scouting report, strengths. Throws with surgical precision between levels, threading windows that don't exist for quarterback lacking his touch and anticipation on intermediate routes. Now, my favorite word here, anticipation. Anticipation is knowing that there will be a window opening up at some point on the football field and throwing the ball either before that window is open or before the wide receiver breaks on his route where he is going to be in that window, and you throw it early so the football is already on the wide receiver when he looks back and puts his hands up and is in that window. Justin Fields, the current quarterback for the New York Jets, has never learned how to throw with anticipation. We need a quarterback who is able to anticipate the way that defenders are going to move and where openings are going to be in zones, which is how the Jets can get their pass game finally to the next level and finally have a top offense in the NFL, something that we haven't seen since 2015 with Ryan Fitzpatrick, Brandon Marshall, and Eric Decker. Also, you got to love accuracy. I have to imagine they are hyping up his accuracy a little bit too much because usually rookie quarterbacks are extremely inaccurate unless your name is CJ Stroud as a rookie, CJ Stroud as a second-year quarterback. Not that accurate. Jaden Daniels, highly accurate rookie quarterback, but those are only 2 rookie quarterbacks out of however many have been drafted in the first round over the past 10 years, whereas pretty much everyone comes out with accuracy issues as a young quarterback in their first round. Between the levels as well, that is the 3 levels are, where your defender, where your D-line is, your linebackers, and then your secondary. So being able to thread between levels means he can throw passes basically pretty much what it means is he can layer passes in between the linebackers and the secondary. So he's going to throw the ball on something like a deep in route where the safeties are too far back, but it's going to be behind the linebackers. And something I should explain, throwing with touch is when you got to throw the ball over someone, when you have to throw the ball over the linebackers or defensive linemen. So you can't just bullet pass it the entire way or it's going to be intercepted by the shallow defender. If you throw it with touch, it goes over the guy's head and comes back down in a timing where your receiver is able to make a play on the football. Now, moving on to his second strength here, keeps his head on a swivel when chaos erupts, maintaining downfield vision when maneuvering through traffic like a downtown cabbie at rush hour. So pretty funny, little comparison there for our guy here, Fernando Mendoza. But what I love is when the pocket breaks down, which it will break down no matter how good you are at quarterback. It just depends on what happens to you when that pressure comes. Most young quarterbacks, they wilt in the pocket when a ton of pressure hits them, but not Fernando Mendoza. He stays strong. He knows that you want to drop back, read 1, 2, or 3, then step up in the pocket. I don't want to take too many digs at Justin Fields, but this will probably be the only other dig I'm going to take at him. The other problem that he has is he drops his eyes too fast when the rush comes. Fernando Mendoza continues to read downfield, looking for windows and looking to see if more people are going to be open. Also, Mendoza knows that you have to step directly up back into the pocket because that's where the offensive line is going to be able to protect you. If you run out to the sides, you're kind of opening yourself up to taking more hits, opening yourself up to giving easy passing lanes to pass rushers, and you're opening our offense up to face extra holding penalties, which we never want to be facing. Third pro here, built like a power forward at 6'5" with long levers that create unique passing angles and help him see over collapsing pockets. You can't teach a quarterback to be 6'5", and you really want to make sure you are tall enough to be able to see over offensive linemen in this league. Players are getting taller and taller and taller. You got to make sure you are big enough. So not only can you see and read the field effectively, you also have to be big enough and heavy enough to take hits and not be injured. The best ability is availability, and we have to make sure that our quarterback is going to be as available as he possibly can. Absorbed relentless punishment behind Cal's turnstile protection, yet never flinched from delivering strikes. Something I should have mentioned earlier in the video about Fernando Mendoza is this is his first year at the University of Indiana. Last year, in 2024, he played at the University of Cal before transferring to Indiana. Cal had zero offensive line. He got hit a ton and kept on getting back up. Goes back to my earlier point of the best ability is availability, and you want to make sure that your quarterback is going to be able to stay on his feet and stay healthy even when he does get knocked off his feet. Our offensive line is pretty good. The reason why, Justin Fields is holding the ball too long, which is leading to a lot of the pressures. Of course, our offensive line isn't perfect, but there is no perfect offensive line in the NFL. You got to make it work, and Fernando Mendoza is going to have significantly better pocket presence than what we are looking at right now with Justin Fields. But now, let's look at what Fernando Mendoza maybe doesn't do as well. Arm talent won't blow anyone away. Cross-field throws die at the catch point, and deep balls occasionally float without that pro-level zip. Now, Mendoza does bring that elite trait of his height to the table, but he does not have anything close to elite arm strength. He has what I would consider adequate arm strength, borderline lacking arm strength, put on display by the pick six thrown against the Oregon Ducks at Autzen Stadium a couple weeks ago. When Indiana went on the road, their defense was shutting down the Oregon Ducks. Fernando Mendoza tried to throw a pass while fading away, and it came up short of his target, intercepted by an Oregon linebacker, and returned for a touchdown. Should he have had more arm strength in this situation, that ball would have been on his receiver and caught for a big gain for the Hoosiers. However, he didn't have the arm strength, and fading away when his feet weren't under him, he was unable to complete this pass. This is something that Jet fans should be worried about if we do draft him, but guys like Drew Brees have increased their arm strength in the NFL. Also, Tom Brady has. You got to be able to put the work in. We can't take him from having a not so great arm to having an elite arm, but he can come to the NFL, work with NFL coaches, and get more arm strength. He can work on that in the NFL. It just comes out to how much work is he willing to put in. Weight room work is mandatory, as his 222-pound frame needs another 10 to 15 pounds of functional mass to withstand NFL punishment. This goes back to stay available, don't get injured. He needs some more weight, so he has the height, but doesn't quite have the weight yet. When he was getting lit up over and over again at Cal, we have to remember these are smaller, weaker college defensive linemen doing this to him. In the NFL, the guys are a lot bigger, faster, stronger. They will hurt him more if we allow Fernando Mendoza to get hit. Holds onto the rock like it's his firstborn child, absorbing drive-killing sacks when throwing into row Z makes more sense. So pretty much, this is saying has to be willing to throw the football away when the ball isn't there. When guys aren't open, throw the ball away. This is a pet peeve of mine, and this is something that I've not observed when watching Fernando Mendoza. I've only seen about 4 games of him. So maybe I missed it. Maybe just the games that I saw, he didn't have that issue, but that, to me, that's not something that actually is a problem. But, according to NFL Draft Buzz, he doesn't throw the football away enough. Deep ball production raises eyebrows. Indiana's RPO-heavy attack rarely asks him to challenge defenses vertically beyond 20 yards downfield. Well, first of all, from watching the film, we know that he can throw the ball farther than 20 yards with accuracy, with timing, with touch. We know he can do that. The question is, how far can he throw the ball, and how strong is your deep passing game going to be? That's always going to be a question mark with Mendoza for the rest of the college season this year and for his early NFL seasons. Now, my comp for Fernando Mendoza is Jared Goff. He sits in the pocket, can run the ball for 5 or 6 yards if no one's there, and he's going to be a quality QB sneaker while he's not athletic. But Jared Goff had a significantly stronger arm, so my exact comp is Jared Goff with less arm strength. But let's talk about some more things coming from Sports Illustrated. One notable thing that McShay mentioned in his section about the Jets selecting Mendoza is that the 2027 class looks much stronger, with players like Julian Sayin, Lenora Sellers, Dante Moore, and Arch Manning potentially bolting for the pros after next season. Now, the grass always looks greener when it comes to quarterbacks and prospects, so the overall 2027 NFL draft is definitely going to be better than the 2026 NFL draft, and Arch Manning is an awesome prospect, but sometimes you just got to figure out what you covet in a prospect and go out and take that guy. So we saw last draft, no one thought that, or maybe not nobody, but very few people thought Jackson Dart was going to be a franchise quarterback, and he's looking like the answer for the New York Giants right now. The guy who's on the screen currently is Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson. He is someone that we will also be seeing mocked to the New York Jets a ton before draft day. Fernando Mendoza is a almost mortal lock to go with the first overall pick. So if we don't have that selection, whichever quarterback needy team does have it is going to take Fernando Mendoza. And if a non-quarterback needy team gets that pick, they're going to trade it for a king's ransom, which I really don't want to pay, but I do think Fernando Mendoza, got to see more film. He may just be worth it. But Ty Simpson is another quarterback that needs to be on all Jets fans' radars. He plays at a high level. He's only 6'2". He takes bad sacks, so he's not a perfect prospect, but really nobody is. Mendoza is the guy that I'm most excited about, but Ty Simpson really isn't a bad option if he is going to be our selection with our first overall pick. We know Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji, they're looking for a highly athletic quarterback. The only real option with that would be Lenora Sellers from South Carolina. He's definitely going to stay in school. He's had a really bad year. He's more Anthony Richardson than he is Jaden Daniels. Not interested in Lenora Sellers at this moment in time. Needs more development, has to be better on film. Hopefully it's Mendoza, and hopefully you stuck around long enough in this video to get to this point. And if you did, thank you. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and go Jets.